Hello, today's video is about percentages. We're going to be focusing on calculating the percentage of something. Now, to understand that, we need to understand what we actually mean by percent. Percent is out of 100. That's why when you see percentages, the maximum that you'll see is 100 and the minimum that you'll see is 1. And when we write these as a fraction, 100 is the number we have as our denominator, and whatever your percentage is the numerator on the top. So 1% is 1 over 100, 25% would be 25 over 100, and so on. So that's what we're sort of relating to percentages. There are two examples of questions that we tend to see with percentages that people struggle with. The first one is one that can be phrased like this: what is 25% of 180? This is referred to as a percentage of something. The other type of question you might see is one that's phrased: if I'm scored 35 out of 75 in my test, what was my percentage? We would call this a number as a percentage of another. In today's video, we're going to focus on a percentage of something. The easiest method to calculate a percentage of something question is to use this method that I've had, which is the calculator method. Step 1 is you divide the number by 100 to find 1%, and then you multiply it by the percentage value you want to know. So why are we dividing by 100? Well, we divide by 100 because if you divide the total, the whole, which is 100, by 100, you will get 1. If you want to get 1, you always divide a number by itself. So for example, to get to 1, I would divide 5 by 5. And then by getting that 1%, we can calculate any other percentage that we want. So let's have a look at this first question here. What is 25% of 180? Now, you might already know the answer to this question because sometimes we can look at a percentage and know straight away, using our decimals, fractions and percentages knowledge, what we're looking for. So I know straight away, looking at 25%, that is 1/4. In 100 there are 4 25s, so 25% is a quarter of that amount. So I could straight away say, okay, what's a quarter of 180? I'd divide it by 2 and then divide it again. So let's do that. Divide it by 2 is 90. Divide it by 2 again is 45. So I would say I know 25% of 180 is 45. But I'm going to test it now, using the calculator method. So my first step, I'm going to take 180 and I'm going to divide it by 100 to get 1% of this amount. So 180 divided by 100 on my calculator gives me the answer 1.8. Okay, I need to know 25%, so I'm going to take this 1% and I'm going to multiply it by 25 because that's how much I need. 1.8 times 25. Now if I type that into my calculator, the answer that I get back is, thankfully, what I found out the other way, it is 45. So that is a quick way that you can calculate a percentage using the calculator. Let's try it on this one here. What is 21% of 2,750? A bit of a larger number here now. So we're going to take 2,750. I'm not doing this one up here because 21% doesn't straight away spring out to me as a fact, I know. 21% of 2,750. So we take 2,750. That is our 100%. That's our whole, isn't it? We're going to divide that by 100 to get 1%. That, when I typed it into my calculator, gives me the answer 27. Now, I could write 27.50, but the 0 in this situation is just holding a place, so I'm going to write 27.5. If you left the 0 on, it wouldn't make a difference to your calculation. Okay, so that is my 1%, and I need to calculate 21%. So what I'm now going to do is do 27.5, and then I'm going to multiply that by 21 using my calculator, and the answer I get when I type that in, 27.521, is I get 577.5. So So that is a quick way of working out that percentage. 21% of 2,750 is 577.5. So 2 steps: divide by 100, multiply by the percentage that you need. There is another method that we can look at, and we're going to see that now. So another method that you can use is the decimal multiplier. This method relies on you understanding your conversions between percentages and decimals. So we would need to understand that 20% was the same as 0.2. We'd need to understand that 1% was the same as 0.01. That 70% was the same as 0.7. You need to have a strong concept of this to be able to do this method. So if you're not 100% certain on that, calculator method 1 is the most appropriate method to use. On our previous slide, we calculated 21% of 2,750, and we came out with the answer 577.5. Calculator method 2 now to check our answer. It's always good to have another method up your sleeve to check answers that you've calculated. So let's have a look. 0.21, which is our percentage, multiply 2,750. Now, if I've done this correctly, the answer I get should be exactly the same as what I got on the other page. Typing it into my calculator, that is exactly right, and that is what I get. So, like I say, it's good to have this second method up your sleeve. However, what if you don't have a calculator? What if you're presented with a percentage question and it's actually on the non-calculator part of your exam? A question like that might be phrased in this way. A bakery makes 400 cookies. 46% of the cookies have been sold. How many cookies have been sold? Now, if I'd got a calculator, that'd be straightforward, wouldn't it? Because I'd go 400 divided by 100 to get my 1%, which would give me 4, and then I would multiply that by 46. I could do that using written methods. If I take 400 and I divide it by 100, I know that to make 400, there are 4 100s in there, so therefore 1% would be 4. And then it would be a case of doing 46 times 4. Now, you might have a written method that you use for that. I would tend to go for a grid method in this situation. So I'd be going 4 times 40 and 6. I know what 4 times 4 is. It's 16. 4 times 40 is 10 times bigger, so that'd be 160. 4 times 6 is 24. I'd add those together and that gives me the answer 184 cookies. Now, I did that a little bit quickly, so you might be looking at that and going, well, hold on a minute, I wouldn't know how to do that. And what if it isn't a straightforward divide by 100? The other way we can do this is to actually break down the percentage into easier bits that we do know. So 46%, what is it? We know it's a 40% and a 6%. So the other thing that I could do here is calculate 10% of 400. If I want to find 10% of something, I divide the number by 10. Whenever we divide by 100 or 10 or 1000, our number will move across the decimal point. When it's 100, it moves twice. When it's 10, it moves once. So if I take 400 and divide it by 10, in my head, I could work out how many 10s squeeze into 400, no problem. What I could also do is just remember that decimal point moving once, which now goes here, and understand that 10% is 40. Then it would be a case of going, okay, if 10% is 40, 4 times 40, which is what I did here, 160. And then if I know 40 is 10%, dividing it by 10 to get to that 1, which would give me 4, times that by 6. So pretty much what I did up here. So when you don't have a calculator, you have to use the facts that you know. Let's have a look at an example of another question. So I'm sticking with food this time. The bakery has now made 700 cookies and 56% of the cookies have been sold. How many cookies have been sold? So I'm going to use the facts that I know. Percentage wise, we've got 56%, so that's 50% and 6%, isn't it, if we break it into bits? Now, I know 50% is the same as a half, isn't it? When you've got 50% of anything, it means half is gone. So, straight away, I can work out 50% of 700 by halving it. I know 700 divided by 2, which is what we do to halve, is 300. Therefore, straight away, I've got my 50%. How am I going to solve this 6%? Well, there's a couple of ways we could go about this. I could work out that 10%. So I could do 700 divided by 10 to get 10%, which would move the decimal once, and that becomes 70. And then from that, I could work out 1% by dividing it by 10. So if I've got 10% and I divide by 10, I can get to 1. So dividing 70 by 10 again would take me to 70, which is take me to 7, which is 1%. I could just straight up have divided 700 by 100 to get that 1%, remembering to move my decimal point. What I know, though, is that I've got 1% is 7, and I need 6, so that would be 6 times 7, times tables time again, which is 42. That would be my 6%. Add them together, 350, add 42. Do the column method, 2, 5 and 4 is 9, 3 add nothing is 3, so 392. They have sold 392 cookies. I hope you found this video helpful today. Next video, we will calculate how to do a percentage of another, a number as a percentage of another.